All right, let's get into it. Today, we're on a mission to crack one of the most fundamental codes in the English language, the present simple tense. Now, it might sound a little basic, but trust me, getting this right is the key to sounding natural and fluent.
So let me start by asking you a question. Think about your morning routine. Then think about a scientific fact, like water boiling at a certain temperature. And then think about where you live. They all seem like completely unrelated things, don't they? Well, grammatically, they all share a secret.
And that secret is the present simple tense. Yep, it's the hidden code that connects all these different ideas. And in the next few minutes, we're going to crack that code together so you can use it with total confidence.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our mission plan. We're going to start with how to build it, then we'll look at when to use it, see it in action, and wrap things up with some pro-level tips to really make you a master.
All right, first things first. Every code has a blueprint, right? A set of instructions for how to put it all together. And guess what? The blueprint for the present simple is actually really clean and logical.
In fact, we can break this entire blueprint down into just 3 simple steps. First, making a positive statement, we call that the affirmative. Second, saying no, which is the negative form. And third, asking questions, or the interrogative.
Okay, step 1 is a piece of cake. Seriously. For I, you, we, and they, you just use the basic form of the verb. Easy. I work, you play, they learn. But, and this is a big but, here comes the golden rule. The one thing you absolutely have to remember. For he, she, or it, the verb needs an S.
Now, it's not always as simple as just slapping an S on the end, though. There are a couple of small spelling tweaks to watch out for. If a verb ends in something like sh or ch, like the word finish, we add es to make finishes. And if it ends with a consonant plus y, like study, we drop the y and add ies to get studies.
All right, on to step 2, how to make a sentence negative. To say no, we need a little helper verb. We use do not, which we usually shorten to don't for most subjects. But for that special group, he, she, and it, we bring in does not, or as you'll usually hear it, doesn't. We've covered positive and negative sentences, so that just leaves one last piece of our blueprint. Any guesses on how we ask a question? Hint, those little helper verbs we just met are the key.
You got it. It's super simple. You just take those same helpers, do and does, and you pop them right at the front of the sentence. So it becomes, do you work? Or does he work?
And this table just lays it all out perfectly. Check this out. In the affirmative, you see she works. The S is right there on the main verb. But look what happens in the negative and question forms. The S has literally jumped from the verb work over to our helper do to create does. This is so important. The main verb then goes back to its basic form. She does not work, not works. The does is doing all the heavy lifting. Okay, blueprint mastered. We now know how to build the sentences. But the next big piece of the puzzle, and it's just as important, is knowing exactly when to use this code.
And the great news is you don't have to guess. There are 3 main situations where you'll want to reach for the present simple.
And here they are. Number 1, for actions you repeat or things that are habits. Number 2, for situations that are pretty much permanent or true for a long, long time. And number 3, for general truths and scientific facts. Let's break each one down. First up, habits and routines. This is probably the one you'll see and use the most. Just think about your daily life. I have a shower every morning. It's a regular, repeated action, right? That little phrase, every morning, is a huge clue that we're talking about a habit. Okay, scenario number 2 is for permanent situations. This isn't for something temporary, like being on vacation. When we say Mr. and Mrs. Shaw live in Bristol, it means Bristol is their home base. It's a stable, long-term thing. And finally, we use it for facts, things that are just always true. The river Amazon flows into the Atlantic Ocean. It did yesterday, it does today, and you can bet it will tomorrow. It's a geographical fact, so it gets the present simple.
All right, enough theory. Time for a field test. Let's see this code we've been learning about out in the wild and break down a couple of real-world examples.
Okay, take a look at this one. Jet engines make a lot of noise. Now, which of our 3 scenarios does this fit into? Is it a habit? Nope. It's a general truth. It's just a fact about jet engines. And that's exactly why we use the simple form make. And how about this question? How often do you go swimming? That phrase, how often, is a dead giveaway, isn't it? It's asking about a habit or a routine. And look at that structure. It follows our blueprint perfectly. helper verb do, subject you, and the base verb go. See? It all fits together.
You've basically cracked the main code of the present simple now. You know how to build it, and you know when to use it. So if you're ready to level up, let's look at a few pro tips that will really make your grammar skills shine.
First, keep an eye out for signal words. Adverbs like often, usually, sometimes, every day. These are your friends. They practically scream that a habit is being talked about. Second, here's a really cool trick. You can use the present simple to talk about the future, but only for things on a fixed schedule, like a timetable. For instance, the train leaves at 7:30 tomorrow. And last but not least, a special little rule for questions. If who or what is the subject of the question, you actually don't need do or does. You just say, who lives in that flat?
This chart really sums it all up nicely. As you can see, those big slices of the pie, the huge majority of the time you'll use this tense, are for your habits, facts, and permanent situations. If you can just lock in those three main uses, you've pretty much mastered this thing.
So there you have it. The code is officially cracked. You've got the blueprint, and you know the scenarios. So my final question for you is this. What's one habit you have? Go on, think about it right now, and try to describe it out loud in a perfect present simple sentence. That's honestly the best way to make it stick. Thanks for joining me.